Now to the digital dive, Gia, on a visit to Minnesota that's still lighting up news feeds this morning. President Donald Trump stopping here in our state in Mankato to make a pitch to Minnesotans for his bid in re-election. Now, President Trump, he started sending messages before he even got to our state, tweeting that the National Guard saved Minneapolis from destruction during the unrest following George Floyd's death. He bashed local leaders for not sending in troops sooner. President Trump also claimed during a speech that he was the one to send the National Guard, but that was actually ordered by Governor Tim Walz. The president touched on a number of topics ranging from police reform to immigration, and if reelected, he promised more tax cuts and continued tariffs on foreign steel in a nod to Minnesota's Iron Range.
Look at your mining industry. It was crushed by dumping tons and tons of cheap iron and steel into our country. I saw what was happening. I did something about it.
And as President Trump spoke at the airport, protesters marched in downtown Mankato. As you can see in these tweets, people held signs telling the president to go home and supporting the Biden-Harris campaign. Those protests in Mankato remained peaceful there. And top Democrats in our state also spoke out about the president's visit, including our own governor, Tim Walz, who criticized Trump's handling of the pandemic. And he also talked about his divisive rhetoric, Gia. So it was a very busy day in our state. And of course, I was mentioning earlier, President Trump already up tweeting. He's not very happy with the Democratic National Convention and the keynote address from former First Lady Michelle Obama this morning.
Yeah, and it is no surprise that President Trump is already talking about this, and this is only going to ramp up as we get closer to Election Day. Alicia, thanks.